Welcome back to another episode of Into the Airbnb, where we talk with Airbnb hosts about their short-term rental experience. Today's guest is Scott Aaronson from Detroit, Michigan, who owns and manages 8 listings there in Detroit. Today, Scott will share with us about his personal experience on short-term rentals on Airbnb as well, and also some useful insights for people who might be interested in hosting in that area. This episode is sponsored by Airbnb, the only one analytics dashboard for short-term rental investors and managers, where you can find precise Airbnb data such as occupancy rate, revenue, average daily rate, and so on. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Can you tell us how did you get started on Airbnb?
So I started in buying properties in 2010 or 2012 after the 2008 crisis. Then I saw the Airbnb thing, I think in 2018, and then I converted one of my units into Airbnbs to see how it would do in Royal Oak, and then it did well, so I started converting more and more, and now here I am a few years later with going on the 8th one.
Oh, so you've been doing short-term rental since before Airbnb?
Yeah, since 2012, I think, or 2000, somewhere around there, 2013.
2013, great. And how did you manage them before Airbnb? Did you have a website for them, Craigslist?
Oh, sorry, no, I've been doing I've been doing long-term rentals since 2000. But I also have a youth hostel and some other in a house where I'd have people do month to month. I'd just advertise on Craigslist.
Okay, I understand now. Great. So in the area you're hosting in Detroit, how is the seasonality like?
It's pretty dead in the wintertime. Less dead in the summertime.
And in those seasons, how is your average occupancy rate like?
Lately, it's been a lot lower. I would tell people to be careful coming into this market because it's starting to get oversaturated with Airbnbs. Yeah, I would say maybe 50 to 60% occupancy now.
Is this the low season or high season?
It's starting in end of April. It starts to be high season.
Okay, so 16. Okay. Are you thinking of expanding your listings to other places or just staying there?
I am thinking about potentially going to other places, but I don't know where yet. Maybe Pennsylvania, maybe South or Central America, like Nicaragua. More things that will support my lifestyle, but I'm definitely not going to expand any more listings here. The pricing is too expensive for the amount of money that you get with Airbnbs. It's good if you purchase, if you're like me and you bought Airbnbs and you bought houses in 10 years ago. It's really, really good, but I don't see it as being really that good right now.
I see. And for those eight listings you have right now, what is your pricing strategy?
I have a minimum, and then I use Price Labs, and they do an algorithm for me to determine based off of they do the algorithm stuff, probably similar to this Airbnb ticks thing.
Oh, I see. Do you sometimes do manual pricing, like doing your own research and stuff?
No, I just set a minimum. And then I mean, maybe sometimes there's a couple of times like New Year's where I set the prices, or there's a big festival in May that I set the prices. Outside of that, I just use Price Labs.
Have you tried the Airbnb smart pricing feature, and how was your experience with it?
Yeah, like most people will tell you that the Airbnb smart pricing feature is pretty bad. They really encourage you to put your prices significantly lower than the market rate.
And have you had any experience with it?
With smart prices. I'm sure I've used it
Yes.
before, but not for very long. I pretty much went to Price Labs pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, I see. And what about the demographic of people you get in your listings? Are them all close to each other? Do you get the same kind of guests?
You ask me what type of guests I get in the winter. It's a mixture of people. It's locals that want to come and I'm by areas like Royal Oak, which are like little suburban hotspots with bars and restaurants. So on the weekends, I get a lot of people that want to go out to the local bars and then not drive home, just have a local place. But a lot of business travelers, some people coming to visit, people coming to visit family, all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind sharing, what would be your return on investment, like your yearly return on investment?
Oh gosh, it's pretty high, really, really high. But I say this with a bit of caution because I don't think that you could replicate it now. I mean, my return on investment is really, really high because I bought in Detroit in 2013.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Like,
I understand.
like I could tell you, for instance, I'll give you an example. This is revenues. I make about 9 to 10,000 in the summer months. I make between eight. I can make. Well, I'll just tell you in percentage of revenues. Well, I can make. And the top earning, if I'm really doing it well, I can make between $7,000 and $10,000 a month off of a property that cost me 190,000. That's revenue. So there's expenses, obviously. A property that cost me $190,000 to purchase. So do the math on that. Even if you're in the for me, I'm in the 30 to 40% range. But don't get the wrong idea, because that property that I bought for 190 now is probably, you're going to have to buy it for 550 to 600. So it's like, all of a sudden that return goes down significantly. You take that return down to levels that in my experience, probably wouldn't be that great for the amount of work involved and the amount of hassle and risk on your property and all that type of stuff.
Right, I understand completely. And in all these years being an Airbnb host, what have been your top challenges?
Top challenges are always, well, for me personally, it's been maintenance of the units. Especially now, it's very hard to find people that could help. And I think I was surprised at the amount of wear and tear that goes on to Airbnbs. There's some advantages, like your units are cleaned every day, so that everything's cleaned, but your units will get tore up a lot quicker than I'm looking at rehabbing units that I've rehabbed just a couple of years ago because everything's broken. And part of my challenges have been finding good contractors that do the correct job on stuff, so things don't break after a couple of years. And then the second one is fixing all the errors from in the beginning, from when I didn't have good contractors.
And is it easy to find crew for your listing there? For example, a cleaning crew, plumbers, things that you'll need?
Cleaning crew is easy. Cleaning crew isn't a big deal, but everything else is very, very challenging. I've been in the market. It's less challenging for me because I've been in the market for a long time, and I have a couple $1 million worth of real estate now. I have maybe a dozen places. I have a youth hostel in Hamtramck, 25 bedroom hostel in Hamtramck. I have, enough properties where I could build these relationships and people want to work with me. And I give people enough business. Like if I have a plumber, I'm giving him enough business between all my properties where I call him more than once a month. So he knows who I am, and we've been doing this for so long that we have that relationship. He wants to keep me happy. If you're coming into the market and you want to buy one Airbnb and you have to deal with this type of shit, it's going to be a lot more challenging for you because you don't have that economy of scale.
I understand completely. So, lastly, any tips that you'd like to share for other Airbnb hosts?
Yeah. Know your market. Well, that's the number one rule for buying real estate in general, buying or arbitrage. Again, I don't do very much arbitrage, but you got to know your market if you want to be. And what that means is like, don't just go to a random place that you don't know anything about because you look at numbers and you see a good return. I think if you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you want to go into a market, I think the best way to do it is to really, really know that market. So like if you're able to do it, if you're in the right position with your family and whatever, go there, live there for a couple months, see what it's like to be in that area. And then after see what type of travelers there are. Then after that period, once you really understand the culture of the area, and then start looking at investments. A perfect example is Detroit. You go in the wrong area. I mean, there are areas of Detroit that look really, really nice, but like if you don't know the nuances of the neighborhood, especially in the city of Detroit, if you don't know the nuances of the neighborhood, you could really easily get screwed. Knowing the neighborhood, or another option is if you don't know the neighborhood and you can't go and move there, partner with somebody that does. Partner with a co-host or partner with someone that could guide you and say, listen, you don't want to buy an Airbnb on this street. If you buy an Airbnb on this street, your house is going to get broken into, or you're going to get partiers, or you don't want to accept these type of guests. So just know your market, really put in a lot of focus, and people don't. There's another saying in real estate that people don't make money. They don't make money selling; they make money buying. So make sure that you got to make sure you're doing it. You're getting a good value for your time. And sometimes with markets when they're overpriced, you can't get that value. And if that's the case, don't just get the whatever you can. Just maybe consider waiting until the value changes.
Great, I understand. And for the people who already own houses in Detroit, like you, who have been a property owner since 2013, I guess, would you recommend them to still do Airbnb there so they can get like a higher revenue?
I'd recommend that they sell me their Airbnb units. Give me a call. My name's Scott Aaronson. I'll buy your Airbnb units, and and go retire somewhere. You don't need to do this hard work. No, I think Airbnb is, if you already have, your question is if you already have, that was a joke kind of. If your question is if you already have property in Detroit, you should, if you already have property in Detroit, should you sell it or should you turn it into the Airbnb? Is that your property? Is that your question?
Yes.
I think that Airbnb can be a very powerful tool where you can make a lot of money, but I would caution you that it's a business. And if you're going to be in the Airbnb business, what I tell everybody is, if you're going to be in the Airbnb business, be in the Airbnb business. It's not a good passive investment. It's not passive income. Don't go in, and you're better with economy of scale. So don't go in there with one property and expect it to be hands off. If you're going to be running it and not having a co-host, expect to get those calls at 2 a.m. with people that are not able to get in your Airbnb, and expect to have to deal with that. And if you don't, then you either get a co-host to manage everything and expect to give them expect to give good co-hosts 20 to 30% of your profits, or not your profits, your revenue, or get into the long-term game, get the long-term rental game where it's a lot less stress and demand on you.
Great. So that'll be it for today. Thank you for sharing your story and some tips with us.
Cool. You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to Into the Airbnb. We are looking for hosts and other people in the short-term rental industry to interview. If you have what we need and would like to share your experience in this podcast, please send us an email. All the info is at the end of the description.